Hello all, welcome to Autoboard YouTube channel. So today you're going to learn how you can create a queue-based trigger. Okay, so a queue-based trigger in the sense like whenever a new item is getting added to a queue, a process should get triggered. Okay, so that is the purpose of queue-based trigger. Okay, for an example, let me show you one use case. Okay, so here the purpose is like read the data from any source and trigger the process if there is a new entry. Okay, for example, if you're considering a ticketing tool, okay, there can be tickets coming in every 5 minutes, or the time can get change. Okay, it can be 1 minute, or it can be in seconds. You may be receiving different tickets. Whenever a new ticket reaches the ticketing tool, bot need to fetch the ticket details and upload to queue. Okay, when there is a new entry in the queue, another process should get triggered and the work order should be performed to resolve the ticket. It means like when there is a new entry in the ticketing tool, this detail should get uploaded to the queue. Okay, you should upload that to the queue, and whenever if there is a new entry in the queue, okay, in the orchestrator queue, at that time only you need to trigger the process. Okay, trigger the process to resolve that particular ticket. Okay, so I hope you are aware about the dispatcher processor method. Like the dispatcher will be adding the items to the queue, and the processor will be processing that item which are added to the queue. Okay, so here the benefit is like whenever if a new item is added to the queue, at that time only that particular process will get triggered. Okay, so a bot doesn't need to look into the queue each and every time or in every second to monitor whether a new item has arrived or not. Okay, but if a new item got added to the queue, it will automatically trigger a process. Okay, so it will add more efficiency, or the board which got assigned to that particular task can also work on some other task. Okay, it doesn't need to look into the queue each and every second for identifying the element which are getting added to the queue. Okay, so that is the benefit of this queue method of triggering. And dispatcher, so here in this use case the dispatcher will be reading the ticket from ticket tool and load to the orchestrator queue. Okay, so there comes situation like if you're working for the production support at all, there can be some acceptance SLA will be there for the ticket, right? And you will be accepting that ticket and you will be adding the details to the queue, right? And multiple boards may be processing that particular request, right? And here one problem is like maybe you will be receiving the tickets mostly on the working hours, right? And on the mm, night and all, you may not be receiving that much incident, like maybe some 2 3 4 like that you will be receiving the incidents if you are working for some production support. So in these cases, like if you are allocating one robot to look into the queue and to process that item on every second, what will happen? You cannot allocate that board to work on another process, right? So it is affecting the efficiency of that board. Okay, so a robot can work on 24/7, but if that particular board is specifically assigned to only one task, and it is always looking into one queue, or it is always looking into one queue for checking whether any new process has arrived, it is just impacting the efficiency of that robot. Okay, so in this situation what we can do, we can use a dispatcher to add the ticket to the tool. Okay, and we can create a processor. Okay, process which can action that queue items, okay, which got added to the queue. Okay, and at what time we need to trigger this process? A bot doesn't need to look into this queue each and every time. Okay, but whenever a new entry is adding to the queue by the dispatcher, our process flow will get triggered. Okay, so there we have to use the queue based trigger. So let me go to orchestrator and I will show you that. So here if you go to the environment and if you go to triggers, here from by clicking on add a new trigger, you can create the triggers, right? So I have already covered a video on this process, jobs and triggers, and how we can create the trigger as well. But in that video we just covered only the time based trigger and we didn't cover this queue. Okay, so this queue is an important topic and we need to understand where we can use these queue based triggers. Okay, so in this video we are going to cover that. Okay, so if you haven't seen that video for the process, job and triggers, let's go to our UiPath playlist and try to understand what is this functionality and how you can use that. Okay, so let us understand what is queue based trigger. So start a job when new items are added to a queue. Okay, so whenever a new item is getting added to the queue that you're creating in the orchestrator, your process will get triggered. Okay, so I'm going to queue, and here you will have to give a name for the trigger, and you need to choose which process you need to execute. Okay, which process that you need to execute, and you can inherit the property. Like inherit means it will directly inherit the property of the job, or if you want to specifically give some priority or yeah, priority to this trigger, you can assign that as well. But if you are giving inherit means it will take the same priority which you provided for the job. Okay, and which queue we need to monitor. Okay, suppose if I'm giving one particular queue, demo queue. Okay, so whenever a new item got added to this demo queue, this process will get triggered. Okay, so I hope that is clear. And here you can see like minimum number of items to trigger the first job. Okay, so if you are giving like some 2 5 like that, if 5 items got added, then only the process will get a trigger. Okay, and maximum number of pending and running job allowed simultaneously. Okay, so these things you can change as per your need. Okay, so how many tickets or how many things that you need to process, based on that you can change, and how complex your process. So based on that you can change these values, and you can set the time zone, and you can create a non-working day calendar, and you can choose that calendar over here. And if you are choosing that on those particular days, your trigger will not work. Okay, and if you want to set an ending for the job execution, you can schedule that by enabling this, and you can give the time and all. Okay, and if you want to just kill the session, okay, like you can choose this. Okay, and where is that? Okay, yeah, suppose if you are choosing scheduling ending of job, and if it doesn't get stop at that particular moment, what you can choose, you can enable this kill also. Okay, so kill means it will directly kill your execution. Okay, it will not try to stop, it will directly kill your execution. And here schedule automatic trigger disabling, like after this particular time your trigger will not get active. Okay, it will get automatically disabled, so that time also you can give. So I hope you got a clear understanding about this queue based trigger. So currently now what we are going to do is we are going to create a process which will work like a dispatcher, and we will create another workflow to work like a processor, and I will show you how you can add items to the queue, and how another process will get triggered when a new item got added to the queue. Okay, so that's what we are going to check now. For that I already created a project, that is a queue trigger dispatcher, and here in this use case I mentioned about the ticketing tool, right? So instead of that, what we are going to do is we are going to create an account. Okay, create an account in this Acme site. So those who already preparing for the certification of UiPath, you will be aware about this particular portal. And if you are not aware, you can go to this portal like acme-test.uipath.com bank account. Okay, so you can go here, you'll be getting a page like this, where you will have to enter some details like name, last name, city, phone, email, age, number, what dependent, and you can click on add account. Okay, so these details you will have to get it from the queue. Okay, so we have to create a dispatcher to add this value to the queue, and from the queue you will have to read it, and you need to add all these values, and you need to set the status of that particular queue item to successful in the queue. Okay, so that's what we are going to do, and how you can trigger this particular process when a new entry is coming to the queue. So all these things that we are going to cover in this video. Okay, so please watch the video completely. So let's create the video. So for that, what I'm going to do is we have to get these values, right, for the first name, last name, method. So for this demo I'm going to create a sample text file. Okay, so we can create a sample text file like with some process or using some cron job, you are getting this detail. Okay, you are getting this detail as part of some process. Okay, some db from db you are getting that, and you are adding that to some text file and all. So here the input is like a text file. Okay, so inside the text file you will be getting the first name, comma, last name, comma, state, comma, phone number, comma, like that. It is separated with the comma, and you will be getting a text file. Okay, so each time you are getting a text file, you have to add those values to the queue. Okay, so that is the purpose of a dispatcher. So what I'm going to do is, let me open the path of this project, open project path. I'm going to create a folder here, new folder. Okay, let me name it like a input. Okay, so inside input I'm going to create a file. Okay, so new text file I'm going to name it like a sample. Okay, so let me open this file. And what are the inputs that is required? First name, last name, state, right? So let it open. So first name I'm going to give it like auto, last name I'm going to give it like bot, then state, phone number, right? Then state I'm going to give it like Kerala, then phone number I'm going to give it like 999-999-9999. Okay, then email ID I'm going to give it like autobot@gmail.com hyphen. Then age I'm going to give it like okay, 29. Then number of dependents I'm going to give it like a 2. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, 6 values that we need to add to queue, and from the queue you have to get these values again and you need to enter over here. Okay, so I hope that is clear. So let me save this file. So let's start creating the dispatcher. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let me rename this like a dispatcher. Okay, so that's it. And what we have to do, we have to use, okay, for each file in the folder. Okay, so for each file in the folder we have to read that file and we need to add that to the queue, right? So where is that path? Let me check in the folder. Let me add it like a input, because this folder is inside the project folder only, right? So I'm just putting it like input. Then if you want to get some specific file, here we created a text file, right? So star.txt file, and subfolder, here we are not including any subfolder, so you don't need to enable this. So ordering, you can put it in any order. Okay, so for each file, what you have to do, you need to read that particular file, right? So read text file we have to use. Okay, so how we need to read? For that, current file dot file name is not the, yeah, full name. Okay, so it will help you to read the particular file. Okay, so suppose if multiple files are there in that folder, it will loop through each file and it will read, and here it will give you the output. So let me put it like a text output. Okay, so that's it. So we are done with that. And next, what we have to do, we need to get that value, right? So let me run this and I will show you. For that, I'm going to add a message box. Test out. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so it opened up that file which we created, sample.txt file, and it read all the values. Okay, so these values are separated with comma, right? So you need to split this with a comma and you need to add this to the queue. For that, what I'm going to do is, let me use an assign activity, assign. Okay, so here what we have to do, we have to split it, all right? Text output dot split. How we need to split? Using the comma, we need to split. Okay, and here we need to create a variable. Let me put it like a file data. Okay, so that's it. And here it got generated like a string, so we need to convert that to array of string, right? Because if you split, you will be getting an array of details. So we mark it as a string of a array. What is exception? Implicit conversion from string to bar. Okay, so let me add a C over here, so it will help you to convert that to character. Okay, so that's it. So we'll be getting the list of details to this particular path. So what I'm going to do now is, let me create a queue in the orchestrator. Okay, leave page. Let me create a queue. Let me name it like a queue trigger. Okay, so that's it. Unique reference I'm not putting. Maximum number of retry I'm putting like a 1. And description, this is for testing the queue trigger. Okay, so that's it. We are not putting any SL and all. Let me create it. Add. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is, we need to add the entry to this queue trigger. Okay, so let me go to studio. We need to use add queue item, add transaction item. So here you can see two activities are there: add queue item and add transaction item. So if you are adding it as add queue item, it will add the new entry as a new item. Okay, so the status will be new. But if you are using add transaction item, means the status of that new item will be in progress. Okay, but here I'm going to use add queue item. Okay, then let me create the information. What are the information that is required? So it's like a first name we need to use. So what is the first name? That we have to get it from, so it's not this one. What is that array? Array is a file data, right? So file data of 0, right? So it is an array, so we are going to use the index for getting that data. File index dot 0 dot to string. Okay, and here we need to, okay, so leave it. Let me do this for other fields also. So we need to create a for last name as well. Last name in it is 1. Okay, and what should be the next value? It is a state, right? So next value is state. Okay, what's the next value? That is phone number. Phone number. Okay, and here it is 3. And phone number is done. Then email ID. Email. Okay, 4. That's it. Then what's the next value? Age and dependent, right? So let me create one. Age, it's 5. Okay, and here it's a dependent. Okay, and the value should be 6. Okay, so we know what we did, like we read that sample.txt file. Inside that we add all the details like first name, last name and all, separated with comma, and in this particular line we split that with a comma, so we got an array of value. Okay, so here the first value will be first name, then last name, then email ID, age, like that different values are there. Okay, so using the index we are getting each value and assigning that to the queue item. Okay, so that's it. And here we have to provide the queue name also. Okay, so what is the queue name? It's a queue trigger. Okay, we have to add it inside a double quotes. So that's it. Okay, so our task is done. We read all the details from the file, we split that with comma, and we are adding that to the queue item. So let me disable this activity. Okay, save, and let me trigger this. Okay, so the dispatcher got executed fine. And let me go to this, let me refresh this queue, go here, view transaction. Okay, here you can see a new transaction got added. Okay, new. And if you want to see the details, what you can do, just click on this, click on view detail, and here you can see the first name, last name, state, everything got added here, right? So what should be the next process? We have to read these details from the queue, and we need to input that to this form, right? So that is a next task. For that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new workflow, that is the dispatcher. Okay, so let me name it like a processor. Okay, so processor create. Okay, so here what we have to do, we have to get the item from the queue, we have to get the item from this queue, then we need to add those values to this particular form, and we need to click on account, add account, and we need to set the status of the transaction as a successful. Okay, so that's the task. For that, what's the first activity that we need to use? We need to use get transaction item. Okay, what should be the queue name? It should be queue trigger. Okay, 1 minute, is that a queue trigger? Yeah, it's a queue trigger. Okay, so that is done, and here we should get a transition item, right? So we are going to get one by one. So let me name it like a transition data. Sorry, it should be transaction data. Okay, transaction data. So we created a variable transaction data, and the variable type is a queue item. Okay, that's it. So currently we'll be getting values from the queue one by one. Okay, so now what we have to do, we need to add this data to these values, right? So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this recorder. Okay, so amper web recorder. Let me record this filling of this data. Auto. Okay, so that's it. Then we have to enter the last name. Should be both. Okay, then city, I'm going to enter like a Kerala, right? Okay, so this is just for recording. I'm entering this value. Actually, we have to get this value from the queue. I will show you how you can enter that from the queue. So the phone number, okay, so that's it. Then email ID, okay, then age, (29), number of dependent, I'm going to put it like 2. Okay, then we need to click on this add account. Okay, so that's it. Let me pause, let me save it. Okay, so all our actions got captured and got saved to the workflow. Okay, type into, I think that click activity is not tracked, right? Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me use a click activity, put it here, indicate. Okay, I need to click on this. Okay, confirm. That's it. Okay, so our automation is completed. So we will be getting the data from transition item, and we need to enter the value from queue item in these fields, right? So how we can do that? For that, transition data dot we should use the method specific content. Okay, specific content, and what is the column name? Okay, so that we'll be getting from this view details. So here we created like a first name, right? So we have to give it as a first name. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me copy this comment to others as well. Okay, so this is age, right? So we created like age, age, and this is a dependent, dependent. Okay, data to string also we need to add data to string. Okay, then what is this? This is email ID, email. Okay, dot to string, and what is this? This is phone number, right? What is the value? Phone number. Phone number dot to string, and this is a city, so we name the column as a state dot to string. Okay, and this field is last name, dot to string. Okay, and this is first name dot to string. Okay, so that's it. Our automation is completed. So let me do one thing. Okay, let this details open. So let me trigger only this file. Okay, only this workflow, and see, it will open up our browser and it will get this value from the queue and it will enter over this form. So let me do one thing. Let me run only this file. Okay, so it is entering the details one by one by getting the value from the queue orchestrator. Sorry, from the orchestrator queue. I think there is a change with the name. What is the name that we provided? It's phone number is correct on, right? It failed somewhere. Let me check what is the error. Type into this field is required, could not find the user interface element of this action. Okay, so to string, right? Okay, so it is wrongly labeled, right? That's why it is throwing that. So let me do one thing. Clear this value. Okay, indicate it again. Indicate a target on screen. Indicate a separator. Click on this. Okay, so move this anchor. This anchor I am going to delete. Okay, this anchor is not required. We should anchor only to add anchor to phone. Okay, so that's it. Now confirm. Now it should work fine. Okay, save it. Let me add the dispatcher again. Okay, so the process completed. Let me run the processor. Okay, so if you are using the app or web recorder for recording your operation, you need to make sure the anchors are properly tagged to the respective labels. Okay, and if there is any change in the labels, it will throw the error. Like even now also we see that error for this particular phone number. It was tagged wrongly to that particular error message. Okay, account was created. That's it. And we need to click on this particular symbol also that we forgot to add. So let me pause this execution, stop this execution. So this is working fine. Okay, so we can add one more click activity. Okay, click activity, just okay, we need to click on this okay button. Okay, okay, so that's it. So automation, dispatcher and process workflow creation is completed, right? So now what I'm going to do is, so now what we did, we run this separately, right? Dispatcher I executed, then I added the data to the queue, then I executed this processor for getting the data from the queue and to fill our form, right? So now what I'm going to do is, let me publish this to the orchestrator. Okay, so I'm going to publish to package name. Okay, queue trigger base dispatcher. Okay, to tenant process feed I'm going to publish. Okay, you can publish. Okay, go to orchestrator, go to tenant, go to packages. Okay, so it's completed. Just refresh it. Okay, so here you can see a new package got added to the orchestrator, right? Queue trigger dispatcher. So that's it. And now what we have to do, just go to our environment, automation, just add a new process. Okay, and I'm going to choose queue trigger dispatcher. Okay, so what should be the entry point for the dispatcher? We have to use dispatcher.xml, and for the processor we have to use sorry we have to use processor.xml. Okay, but we forgot to add one more thing. So currently this is only the entry point, so we have to make this processor also as an entry point. Okay, then only we can see it over there. Let's save, publish it again, publish. Okay, so now we have a project with two entry points. Okay, so if you are not sure about what is this entry point and how you need to create it and all, I already done a video for this multiple entry point in a single project. I already did a video. Please go through that and understand how it is useful, and it's a important functionality, okay, which is offered by UiPath. So let me go to tenant, leave page, go to packages. Where is that new package? This is that package. Just select it, just click on this, upgrade the latest version. Okay, your process will found for upgrading. Okay, just refresh. Okay, so a minute ago a new package got added, right? So I think it's already upgraded. So what I'm going to do is go to demo environment, go to process, add new process. Okay, here choose the package. So let's check whether, yeah, so now you can see two entry points are there, right? So I'm going to make the first one as the dispatcher. Click on next, and we have to give queue trigger. Okay, what should be the display name? I'm going to name it like queue trigger dispatcher. Okay, so that's it, and I'm going to give you some description. This is a process to add the queue item. Okay, so that's it. Create. Okay, I'm going to create one more process. I'm going to select the package queue trigger. I'm going to choose the entry point as processor.xaml. Next. What should be the name? Sorry, not this one. Queue trigger processor. Okay, so that's it. This is a process. Okay, so let's create it. Then what we need to do, we need to go to job. We need to create a job over here. For that, I'm going to select the process name. So first I'm going to create like a queue dispatcher. Okay, queue trigger dispatcher. Then start. Okay, so now it will get deployed to our UiPath assistant. Okay, so you will be able to see this dispatcher in your assistant itself. So either you can schedule it based on the time, like every 5 minutes it need to monitor that particular folder and it need to add that data to the queue orchestrator queue. And so this can be a time-based scheduling you can do for this dispatcher. Okay, but the process should work like a queue based trigger. Okay, so now for this dispatcher I'm not going to create any trigger. Okay, so I'm going to create another job. Go to this, select a processor. Okay, start. Okay, go to trigger, add a new trigger. It should be based on queue. And what should be the name? Queue trigger process. Okay, and select the queue. Which queue we need to choose? It is queue trigger, right? So whenever if there is an entry to this queue, it should work. And what should be the process name? It should be queue trigger processor, right? So that should be the process name. Okay, so that's it. I'm not going to change any time zone and all. So click on add. So what will happen is like if I click on add, whenever if there is a new item to the queue happen, it will trigger this processor. Okay, so I'm going to click on add. Okay, so there is some error. What is the error? Timeout reach, right? Okay, so let it leave. Then what I'm going to do is the dispatcher. Let me run it again. Okay, so it should have added the details to the queue. Okay, so it should have created a new data to the queue. Okay, so it is a queue trigger, view transaction. Okay, so a new data got added, right? That is new trigger. So now what will happen? It has to trigger our queue based trigger. That is a processor. Okay, so it is opening up our bank account. Then it is entering the details. Okay, so I think there is an issue with that button. So let me do one thing. Okay, so that's it. Like whenever if you're adding a new details to the queue, it will trigger the processor. Okay, simultaneously it will trigger the processor. Let me do one thing. Let me go to the input file and let me change these values. Okay, so that okay, let me put it like Delhi. Let me put some number photo@gmail.com 21 4. Okay, let me close it. Publish it again. So, okay, so we have the new input file. Publish. It's successful. Go to process. Just refresh. Update both these packages. Confirm. Okay, so just update it. Okay, so the new details will get added to the queue and our processor will start triggering. Okay, so it will open up the application. It will enter the details. Okay, so now you can see it has entered a Delhi, the new phone number and the age and the new dependent details. Okay, so I hope you are clear about this concept, like how to use these queue triggers for triggering the process, like whenever if a new item is getting added to the queue. Okay, so if there is any confusion with this automation, like how to use this queue trigger, please comment your opinions. We'll try to clarify that within the comment box, or we can do another video for that. Okay, so if you find this video useful, please like the video, please share the video with your friends, and please don't forget to like our channel and subscribe our channel. Okay, so thanks for watching the video. Bye.